Dr. Rena here. I'm a dental specialist and founder of RW Perio, located at 75 Harley Street. Welcome to my podcast, Life and Smile, where we talk about everything dental, lifestyle, business, and much more. Every episode, I'm joining conversation with a specialist expert in their chosen field, who give us a behind-the-scenes glimpse into their daily regime, career turning points, and an insider look at what they can't live without. As a businesswoman myself, it's so inspiring to hear how people have built their careers and shattered those glass ceilings. So let's get the conversation going. Dr. Rena here. I can't believe we are now in our 6th season. What a journey it has been so far. As always, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Your feedback across every season has meant so much and really shaped the show to what it has become today. Today we have a guest where I'm turning the tables on her slightly, as no doubt you'll instantly recognize her voice from her own broadcasting and, of course, her own podcast, Outspoken Beauty. I'm thrilled to welcome you to the Life and Smile podcast, Nicola.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So our listeners here on Life and Smile are a real 360 mix across the global dental industry, luxury, lifestyle, and across business. Here on the show, it's been so inspiring to hear the often contrasting day-to-day routines and how industry leaders really make it work on a day-to-day basis. But to start off, talk us through the sort of early years of starting your career and then how it all sort of progressed from there.
So very early, I wanted to be a singer,
Wow.
then a theatre director. So it was all kind of performance and theatre. And it all changed when I went to university and I discovered student radio. And it was this moment where it just clicked. Something clicked into place and I just loved broadcasting. And I was there, and then it was a really nice thing to be able to, at the age of kind of 19, 20, say, I know what I want now for sure. And once I had a goal in mind, I could really focus and go for it. So I put all my energy when I was a student into getting into radio. So I worked at the local radio station before my studies started. I worked there for free. I did loads of student radio. And then I made a demo, and I was really lucky. I got offered a breakfast show about 6 months after I left university in the middle of nowhere. I wasn't with anyone I knew. It was really hard. I did it for 2 years, and that took me back to London, where my radio career really, really took off. And I was a presenter on a lot of the biggest radio stations in England. Fast forward to having 2 children. I'm doing early breakfast on Smooth. I'm exhausted. Yeah. And I've also discovered how much I adore beauty. And so I'd started doing a parenting blog when I was on the radio, and it had gone really, really well. Like news outlets in America had picked up on my writing. It was everywhere.
Wow.
But it got to a point where the kids were of an age where it wasn't right to write about them anymore. So I went to beauty, did a lot of beauty work within Heart Radio and Smooth, and started a beauty podcast called Outspoken Beauty. And within 6 months had handed my notice in the radio world and wanted to make my podcast into a career, and which I've done. And that is me in a nutshell.
So what was it initially that kind of got you interested in the world of media, podcast, broadcasting? What drew you to that?
I think there's an element of the performer in me. I really, really love people. I love talking. I love communicating. And there was just something, I don't know what it was, something a little bit magical about being on the radio. I'll never forget being on, it was Christmas Eve, and it was my first big moment in radio. I'd been given cover on Classic FM because I'd been trained as a singer, so that was a really kind of natural place to go.
Yes.
And I just remember that this feeling of magic. I'm talking to people. They can't see me, but I'm talking to them. I'm keeping them company. I'm playing them amazing music. And the relationship people have with radio is they really feel like you're a friend.
Yes.
And taking that to the next level with podcasts for sure. And I loved that. It just resonated. I don't know why, but it resonated, and it's never stopped resonating.
Amazing. And now you're in the sort of beauty world. What led you to have such a key interest in this topic?
So for me, it was never just about beauty on the outside. It was about what beauty represented. And I've got the cliched story, but it's very much true, of having a grandma who was so well turned out. And she was her nails were always beautiful, and her skin. And she used to talk very passionately about what beauty meant to her. And then a very confident mother who she's never, ever felt insecure, well, never in front of me anyway, always really just, she's really felt good about herself. And I watched that, and I watched my mum being very glamorous and the fragrances she wore and the red lipsticks. And it showed me that beauty can really empower women, and it
Yes.
can. So when it came to beauty, I wanted to find the empowering side of beauty, the side that brings joy and confidence. The beauty I steer clear of is the beauty that women go to when they feel insecure, and that
Yeah.
promises change. I think that's never good. So it's what I call the more moral side of beauty that I love.
Completely. And yeah, no, you've, even from a dental point of view, when someone's smile changes, it's more actually, yeah, fine, you look great, but it's also the confidence it gives them, and then the
Yeah.
opportunities related to that. So, yeah, completely agree. It can have such a big impact on people's lives for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, your podcast is incredibly successful. Everything you do is amazing. How do you make sure that your audience constantly stays engaged? Because now with the media industry, everyone wants that kind of instant access. It's very fast paced. How do you manage to do that so well?
I think number one, you have to stick to what you believe in. So it's very
Mm.
easy to get carried away, to go on TikTok and see the big trends and to think, I need to change who I am to fit
Right.
in with what everybody wants. But when you're in a very fast-paced media world, the problem is you're always going to be playing catch up because the trends are going around so quickly. The trends also are being dictated by customers and by younger people, and they change in a second. So number one, stay true to yourself and what you believe in, but maybe just kind of get the zeitgeist a bit. If there's a certain mood, if there's something that's resonating and it's fun, just maybe kind of thread that into what you're doing. So you're not
Right.
changing, you're slightly adapting.
Right.
And you can jump on trends as well. So if you do see there's a big trend in the makeup world, it can be quite funny. I'm 44. Maybe just make it my own and make it more
Yes.
applicable to my audience.
So keep the core, the values the same, but then be
Yeah.
aware of everything that's going on. Yeah, for sure.
That's the same for everyone. I think even
Yeah,
if like
for
you own
sure.
a brand or whatever, you have to stick to what you love and what
Completely.
you stand for.
Completely. It's tempting sometimes when you're looking around, so, oh, I'll do this, but yeah, you're right. The value is where you keep your own values and the core the same for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any personal favorite projects to be involved in across your role?
So I do quite a lot of different things. I host the podcast, but I also host a lot of events live, which I absolutely adore. And it's really weird how now the singing that I trained in when I was young, it started kind of filtering into my work a bit. So for
Right.
example, I hosted the launch of a fragrance a few months ago, and it was a fragrance based on the musical Cabaret. And as the host, I sang
Oh.
cabaret music as well as talking. And that was that was like my ultimate
Mm.
happy place. I also have a panel of 600 women who try products, and that's part of my
Oh.
podcast. So that's something I love. And I really love advising brands as well. So I work with brands a lot. So I wear many hats as well as doing the podcast. And I like that. I'm quite a creative, and I like doing lots of different things to keep me excited.
Because yeah, you seem very, very driven, very enthusiastic. What is that? What keeps you going in terms of having that variety every day, or what drives you like in the morning? Like, this is going to be a great day.
Yeah, it's having variety. It's waking up and doing something a little bit creative, and that might be on Instagram, or it might be writing a pitch, or it might be sometimes I write articles. Also, I love. I think something that drives me as well is, and this is the more business side, I suppose, is
Yeah.
the thrill of the chase. Because actually, in the world I've created for myself, the way I earn money is it's there are loads of ways of doing it, and it's interesting to like write to loads of clients with loads of ideas and see what comes through. I find that thrilling.
No, love it. So do you have like a typical day, or is every day quite different? Do you have like a typical week, or?
I mean, so there has to be routine because I have children, and I almost think if I didn't have children, I would be all over the place. But they force you to have a
They
routine, so
force
I
you,
know.
sure.
Yeah, you have kids as
Yeah,
well?
I've got a 1-year-old. So yeah,
Wow.
definitely it's one of the most rearranging things in terms of your schedule. But I definitely think I've been more organized and actually more productive since I've
Yeah.
had her. So it's, yeah, wouldn't have it any other way.
Because you have to be. So I know there are
Yeah,
days of the week when I work from home and I get the kids from school. So those days I'm going to do more admin type things. And then there are days when I'm in London having meetings, going to events. So generally I know what the week's got in store for me. But sometimes I will get a moment of what I think might be creative genius and end up doing something like doing a
right.
random podcast or a random video or something. And that is that kind of, I like that little unexpected sparkle that could happen at any second as well.
And I guess you have to embrace that whilst you've got the idea and you want to see
Yeah.
it through, basically.
Yeah.
Looking back on your career now, obviously each in what you've done so far, each step kind of led to the next. But for
Mm.
someone sort of starting out, or if you were giving advice to sort of your younger self, what would you say to them now, looking back?
I think it's a difficult one. I think I'm really proud of the way that I've worked my way through my career and the way that I've gone about it. I think maybe sometimes being a bit more realistic, actually, particularly in
Okay.
the world of radio. I think I would have said, you're going to get there in the end because you're going to feel completely fulfilled with podcasting because it's given me everything I need. But radio didn't. And I joined the radio world at a time when it was quite sexist, where women weren't given the same opportunities as men. And I think I could have navigated that a bit better. I wish I'd been, with your wiser, 44-year-old head on, I wish I could talk to 25-year-old Nicola and say, right, you just need to go about this a little bit differently. I think I almost played up the girly side. I
Right.
wore makeup. I tried to fulfill the role I was being given. And I wish I just marched in there and said, no, this isn't okay. I want to do it this way, and being a bit more demanding, maybe.
Makes sense. For those who are in their kind of career points where they're wanting to then take that next step,
Mm.
leap out, kind of go beyond their comfort zone, what would you say to them? Because when you then obviously started out on your own podcast, it's quite a big move. It's quite can be quite daunting. What would you say to someone thinking about doing something similar?
So I think it's a really good time to forge your own path. There's a lot of opportunities that weren't around when I was young: podcasts, YouTube, social media. But one thing I'd say is you need to work out what your expertise is first. So go, have a real think, really. And if you're into something but you're not quite expert yet, go and learn, do a course, become an expert. And then just say, right, I am going to go for this with everything I have. You launch, you talk to people in the industry, you get your name out there, and you make sure you're the leader. It really is possible, but you've got to work hard. It's
Right.
not just a matter of just doing something and expecting to do brilliantly at it. And I really, I talk to kids at schools a lot, and I say to them, you cannot just don't just become an influencer. You've
Yes.
got to have something to say for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Completely. Couldn't agree more. One of the favorite questions I have that we ask all of our guests is 3 things we can always find on your desk or in your bag as like part of your mini survival kit. What would they be? They can be as boring as you think, but we've had some really
No,
interesting answers. But yeah, if you had to pick only 3 things, what would you pick?
I'm just looking at my desk now. It's so funny. So I've got first of all, I always have a candle on my desk, and the one
Love
at the
it.
moment is the Neon Cozy Nights one, which is just so good. We're recording this in December, and it's
Yeah.
just even unlit. There's this smell of spice
Yeah.
and loveliness, so that keeps me very cozy and happy. Always have a nail file. That's my
Right.
rainbow nail file, and I have actually a very sentimental photo always on my desk, and it's of my mum, my grandpa, and my grandma, and I'm
Oh,
in my mother's tummy.
oh, how
And
nice.
it just makes me
So
so
special.
happy. Yeah. So I kind of, that always is so even when I'm recording, I'm kind of got that and I'm looking at it and it's just something a bit sentimental. Yes. But
Oh,
there are loads more beauty products there everywhere because some of them I'm testing,
yes,
some
of
of them I
course.
use. But yeah, but those are 3 that are always
Oh,
there.
lovely. Really, really nice. Really special. And when you're off duty, like when you're not working, what kind of favorite spots do you have in London, or what do you get up to? I guess obviously you're spending time with your children. Where would we find you sort of off duty?
I adore London. I have so it's always a bit difficult to talk about zoos because I think zoos, some people think zoos are awful places, but we do have a membership to London Zoo. So
Right.
often we'll go down there and the kids absolutely love it. But I adore London. I adore Soho, going to the odd jazz club with my husband. We love Ronnie Scott.
Yeah.
Love the theatre is still so important to me. So I'll go to the theatre as much as possible and really take the kids to the theatre and encourage them into that world. We go to Camden because it's just a bit different and fun. London, I feel really lucky. We live really near London, and for me it's just so exciting. I love the city.
There's so much diversity and so much to do.
Yeah,
even if
always.
you've been so many, exactly, and there's so many new things on. With your own sort of business side of things and children, etc., do you find it difficult to switch off, or do you have like a set, like, now I'm not going to do any work, or like how do you balance all of that?
I find it really, really hard. And I have to actually say to myself, I think I did something about this recently on TikTok, and it was like literally that moment when you go from work mode to mum mode. It's a totally different headspace. And it is literally a moment when I'll just stop and go, right, Nicola, you've got to now calm down. You're being mum now. You're not being overexcited working Nicola. And it is the most important thing at that moment is to just put the phone away.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's something I always achieve, but the phone has always got an email, always got something that it wants from you. And how can you be there for your children when that's taking your attention? But we're very open about it. And, the kids know that is a rule, and so if they see me on my phone, they're like, "Mummy, get off your phone."
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
they're keeping tabs as well.
yeah, but it's really hard sometimes, especially with a job like mine, because I feel if I had a job where you're in the office, and I mean, not many jobs are like that anymore, but then when you leave, that would be great. But I never leave my work. I love my work,
Yeah, no, for
but
sure.
I love my kids more.
Exactly. No, thank you so much. What an inspiring conversation. For our listeners, where can they stay tuned with everything you're doing? Any exciting projects coming up?
So I've got obviously the podcast, the Outspoken Beauty Podcast, for people who are more into fragrance. I've also got On the Scent podcast.
Lovely.
And where everything is on Instagram at Outspoken Beauty Nicola. What have I got coming up? There's next year plans for lots of really exciting events. I really want to focus as well on that relationship between teenagers and their parents, and the kind of products that teenagers should be using, and that kind of using beauty as a conversation opener for parents and teenagers. So there'll be a lot more of that coming as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.